All right, so my name is Maria Shaya. I'm a junior I'm a junior in high school, and I'm from the Minnesota Youth for Climate Justice. And I want to talk today a little bit about the dangers that Line 3 is bringing to northern Minnesota. And this story starts back in July 25th, 2010, okay? In Marshall, Michigan, on Anishinaabe and Odawa lands. So the oil pipeline 6B carved through the area, transporting diluted bitumen, which is like a form of heavy crude oil, from oil sands pits in Canada, right? Late on that July evening, the pipeline burst and oil gushed out of a 6-foot-long rupture. While alarms sounded at the company's headquarters, the breach wasn't addressed until 18 hours later when a state employee found oil on the land. About 1 million gallons of thick oil sands coated the shorelines and blackened the waters of the Kalamazoo River. This spill contaminated 25 miles of the river, and 35 had to be closed off for cleanup. This cleanup lasted for 5 years and cost $1.2 billion in damages. The Culper Corporation, worth $80 billion now, paid about a sixth of the damages. That corporation is called Enbridge. Now let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to Grand Rapids, Minnesota, 1991. A pipeline running through the area that also carried oil sands, that was also part of the same pipeline, crossed over 2 indigenous reservations to reach an oil refinery in Wisconsin. On the afternoon of March 3rd, the pipeline operators noticed that there was a drop in pressure in the pipeline, and then they turned up the pressure, breaking company guidelines by not actually turning off the line like they were supposed to for over an hour. Another 2 hours passed before the actual valve closed, and they could isolate that part of the line that was breached. This major delay made the spill so much worse. 1.7 million gallons of crude oil sands were spilled, causing significant damage to fish ecosystems, vegetation, and marshes along the Prairie River, a tributary to the Mississippi. This is on Anishinaabe treaty land. And this is the worst oil spill in all of inland oil spill in all of U.S. history. This pipeline is called Line 3, and its contractor is called Enbridge, and its funder is called Chase Bank. I'm not done yet, there's more. Oil Pipeline 2 also ran through Grand Rapids. On February 19, 2004, the pipeline ruptured, spilling 42,000 gallons of crude oil in the area and severely impacting groundwater. That company that built Line 2 is called Enbridge, and its funder is called Chase. I'm still not done. Line 3 also ran through Argyle, Minnesota, in the far northwest, and this pipeline spilled 1.3 million gallons of oil in the second worst oil spill in Minnesota history. The company that caused that spill is called Enbridge, and its funder is called Chase. Fuck Chase. For this, one of them was even in 1973. For nearly 50 years, Enbridge has kept its legacy of spilling its filthy tar sands over pristine wetlands, streams, major rivers, and indigenous treaty land. All pipelines leak, and the Public Utilities Commission knows this, and they don't seem to care. They would rather be silent and let Enbridge abandon yet another ecological catastrophe so that the flow of oil can continue. I would like to show you Will Seufert. Probably most of you won't be able to see this image. This is Will Seufert. Can you see him? So, Will Seufert is the Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities Commission. When asked about Line 3, he refuses to disclose any information that isn't given in an order. This way, he doesn't answer for the environmental time bomb that he okayed for construction. The people destroying this earth have names and addresses. One of them is Chase Bank. We must hold people like Will Seufert accountable for this act of environmental terrorism. And we must hold Chase Bank accountable for funding it. And we must demand that Governor Walz pauses construction on Line 3 immediately. And we must kill the black snake if we don't want to see yet another oil spill on Minnesotan land.
So, when it comes to Line 3, I have a lot of feelings, a lot of mixed feelings that I've had for many years. You know, being one of the youth to really step forward after Standing Rock when we came home after dealing with the Dakota Access Pipeline and what they were doing over there, to come home and realize that they were trying to do that right here, and that they've been doing it right here in the land of so many beautiful lakes, wild rice beds for all the animals, and we realized that they were trying to destroy the very thing that our state is known for, is that our beautiful lakes, our beautiful water, the beautiful Mississippi River. And so when we came home and we realized, we took action. We took the words that we heard from the youth in Standing Rock, the ones who started the movement, the women, the grandmothers, the children, that we needed to come back home and fight because we knew that this was going to happen here. And this is what we're seeing today. We're seeing that our water protectors being beaten by police, being treated subhuman. And that's something that us Native American people are not, we're very much familiar with that because it's been happening for so long. And so when we see this war being put forth by the Enbridge Corporation, by these banks, by the United States political system, we are in war. This is political warfare. This is chemical warfare. Our communities are being poisoned. And yet we have the privilege to just sit in our homes while there are people up there, up north, fighting for all of our clean water. So I advise each one of you to do what you can to make sure that the Enbridge Corporation never finishes Line 3. Because I put my moccasins on the ground for my ancestors, for my future generations, and to Chase Bank and Jamie Dimon, I have faced you once before, and I will face you a million times again, that you need to stop funding fossil fuels. You are one of the largest contributors to the fossil fuel industry, and that stops today. I speak for those who are going to come next, and I speak for those that have been doing this work, that we need to protect our water. We need to be doing what we can to save what little time we have left, because the climate catastrophe is upon us. The revolution is now, and it starts with ensuring our future generations have clean water. So I need each and every one of you to take this so seriously, to tell everyone in the state of Minnesota that Line 3 is something that we need to be doing something about. And I honor, with as much love and courage that I have, to the water protectors that are up there right now. And I hope to see every single one of you on the front lines. Ho'opila.
So I'm gonna just say some words. My name is Francisco Sanchez. Community organizer here in the cities. Been going back and forth because, as we know, there's been a bunch of bullshit going on in the cities too.
Sure has.
So as community members here, we feel conflicted, right? We don't want to abandon our home and go up to the front lines, but we really need to.
Yeah.
And I actually wrote some words down because I've been, like I said, all over the place. So I'm gonna just read this to you. First, I just want to thank each and every one of you for not ignoring this specific call to action. And we tend to romanticize the so-called front lines, thinking about what it's like, how we would act if we were there, how we could be heroes. And I'm here to tell you that we need to be taking a stand right here where we are right now in our own communities. We cannot wait until we are given an opportunity to fight. We must start to fight each day when we wake up in the morning. And we must fight with the same ferocity of these evil corporations. As these evil corporations wage war against our planet and our water. These corporations have no soul. If they did, they may reflect on what they are doing to this earth. They may reflect on how they are paying for the brutalization of people who stand up for their own water, and imprison those who stand up for missing and murdered indigenous women. If the corporations had a soul, we may be able to reason with them. Unfortunately, they do not have a soul or a conscience which we may reason with. We must fight them for the monsters that they are. Chase Bank is a monster that feeds on destruction and pain. It feeds off of pipelines, coal plants, mines. It feeds off of the pollution of water and soil. It feeds off of the brutalization of water protectors. It feeds off of the desecration of sovereign land. Chase feeds off of the murder and rape of indigenous women. Are we going to stand for that? No! That's not right. An entity that feeds on blood and oil will not hear our cries. It will not sympathize with them. It will not change because we ask. We must force change. We must hold the knife to their necks just as they have held the knife to our necks for so long. The fight is not some glorified fight that takes place in the so-called front lines. The fight is here. The fight is now. We must be willing to sacrifice for those who will not have a choice in the future. For those who are born without clean water, we fight for them so that they may live on an earth that is habitable, that can sustain life. Because if we don't fight, that's the future we're headed to. That's the future that Chase Bank, that we're allowing them to take us to. If money is what they're after, we will bleed them dry of it. We will not give them another dime. We will not give another dime to any corporation that profits off of blood. Profits off of destroying the earth, violating our sisters. We will work. We will fight right now. We will organize boycotts. We will organize strikes.
Yes, we will.
We will educate those in our communities who don't have the privilege or the time to do this research themselves. These corporations, they rely on our ignorance. They rely on our own inaction. But we will no longer stammer in the face of these evil giants. We will fight with everything that we have to stop them and to stop Line 3. Stop Line 3!
Stop Line 3!
Stop Line 3!
Stop Line